Hey, class of 2020, we are with Monroe Shrine. It's a CPA firm in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm Megan,
I'm
and
Jessica.
with me is Jessica.
Sorry.
We're going to be covering the basics of taxes today, along with some other personal finance issues. We're going to do this in the form of an interview, run through it with some questions that we think might be pertinent to you. I'm going to be taking on the role of the student, and I will jump in here and there where necessary. Ready to go?
Yep.
All right. So I'm applying for my first job. What do I need to know about taxes?
As far as taxes go, your employer will give you a W-4 to fill out when you first start your job. This form just allows them to know what your information looks like so that they know how much tax to withhold from each of your paychecks. This form isn't really that hard to fill out. There's not a whole lot of complicated information on it, but if you have any questions about it, make sure you ask when you're filling it out because it does allow them to withhold the correct amount of tax from your paycheck and you don't want to have to end up owing taxes at the end of the year.
Owing at the end of the year. Okay, so you mentioned taxes. Do I have to file a tax return every year? What do I put on that?
So you have to file a tax return every year if your income threshold is over a certain threshold. Even if your income isn't over that threshold, though, it may be beneficial for you to go ahead and file a tax return anyway. If the taxes that are being withheld, if they are more than what you actually owe, you'll be owed a refund. So to get that refund, you have to file your tax return. Your tax return includes all your W-2 wages. There are also additional income items that could possibly have to be included on that, but students don't usually have those. If you do have them, though, talk to your parents about how you need to file your tax return, and if you need additional assistance, reach out to a local CPA.
So I'm still in school and I still live at home with my parents. Is there anything else I should know?
The other thing you may need to know about is your filing status and whether or not you should claim yourself on your tax return. If you are claimed as a dependent on your parents' tax return, that means that you can't claim yourself on your own tax return. You can only be claimed on one tax return, whether or not that's yours or your parents'. And then most likely your filing status is single unless you are married or you have children. There is one other thing that you may want to know about for your tax return. If you are claiming yourself, this probably won't happen until the end of your college years. Your parents can claim you until you are 24, as long as you are still in school and they are providing over half of your support. But if for some reason you end up claiming yourself while you are still in school, there is educational credits available to you. Some of these are refundable, some of them aren't. But they are based on your college expenses and you get a credit back for some of those. One thing to be aware of with that is if you are paying for your college expenses out of a 529 educational savings plan, you cannot use those expenses that you pay with that money towards the credits for your taxes.
Okay, so tuition's really expensive and I still need help paying for school. What should I do?
The first and best option is to apply for scholarships. There's tons of them out there, and if you can get scholarship funds, you don't have to pay those back. If you still need additional funds after scholarships, or for some reason you don't qualify for certain scholarships, you can also apply for student loans. Student loans are definitely an option. You do have to pay those funds back though, and some of them start accruing interest right away while you're still in school. So if you can afford to go ahead and start making interest payments on those student loans while you're in school, you'll thank yourself later.
When I graduate, should I consolidate my loans if I take them out?
Consolidating loans isn't always the best option, and if you don't have to, we would not suggest that you do. If you need additional information on how to pay back your loans, there are lots of resources out there for that, and your financial aid office at your new school should be able to help you find those.
So speaking of debt, what about credit cards? There are a lot of offers out there and some even come with free stuff.
Credit cards always sound like a great option. Maybe you get a free t-shirt out of it, or they give you a $50 gift card, whatever the case may be. It sounds fun, but at the end of the day, credit cards can easily cause a lot of trouble. So if you're going to have a credit card, make sure that you find one that fits your needs. You don't need an excessive credit limit. You should be using your credit card as if it was a bank card and making sure that you are paying it off every single month. The interest rates on credit cards are sky high and you don't want to start accruing interest on credit cards.
Just remember that t-shirt isn't really free.
No, it's not.
So you said credit cards can negatively impact your credit. What is credit?
So your credit is kind of a grade for your financial self. Um, anything that has to do with your finances can ultimately end up being reflected in your credit. A lot of this has to do with whether or not you're making timely payments on the credit that you already have. So your credit cards, if you have a car loan, whenever you buy a house, that if you're making timely payments on that. It also has to do with how much of your total credit limit you are currently spending. So there are a lot of factors that go into it, and it can get a little bit complicated, but making sure that your credit score is as good as you can make it starting now is going to benefit you in the long run. Your credit score never resets. So anything that you do now that negatively impacts your credit will stay with you even after college.
Very true. So we've talked about some big items today, but what about my day-to-day spending?
Making a budget, even if you're not paying for things yourself, is a great way to keep track of your spending and also keep track of the money that's coming in. To make a budget, you don't need anything special. You can do it in Excel or on a piece of paper. You just need to record all of the money that is coming into you each month and all of the expenses that you are spending money on every month. So just because you're budgeting doesn't mean that you can't spend money on the fun stuff. It just means that you should probably plan for it. You don't want your expenses to exceed the amount of money that you have coming in. If you're looking for something that is a little bit more techy or exciting or easier to use than doing it on paper or in Excel, there are a lot of apps out there that will help you create these budgets and keep track of your income and expense for each month.
Sounds good. Okay, I think that about covered it. I hope you got something out of this today. But remember, have fun, be smart. Right now is really the start of your financial independence, and your decisions now will impact your future and potentially the rest of your life. It will last much longer than just your college years. We don't want you to get through college in the next 4 years and have regret and still be paying for it in 10. So congratulations, class of 2020. We know this isn't how you anticipated your year ending, but really it's just the beginning.
Congrats, guys.